And it says we're live.
Hi, welcome to the StockinetteZombies. I'm Amy, also known as J Nima.
And I'm Megan, also known as Just Run It. And this is episode 422. 422. Nice even number, no matter how you cut it.
Right.
Yes. Yes, yes. And just had the like aha moment that like Thanksgiving is next week.
Gosh, yes. Right.
Yeah, kind of crazy. And then like I make up different Zoom passwords for all of our, so like ZKN last night, the VKN was like mid-November. And I was like, whoa, yeah, yesterday was the 15th. That's mid-November.
Wow.
That's
Yeah.
crazy. Time is a flying faster than I can keep up with. But the weather has been really like we've been in
Oh, yeah.
60s here. Yeah,
Strange.
it is. It is. Last night, Diane, Suburban Stitcher down in Texas was like, is that not normal for this time of year? Like, I think last year at this time we were highs in 30s and there was snow on the ground, right?
Right.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, again, you learn to that that's just your normal, right?
Mhm.
We both grew up a little further south than here, so
Yes.
not as cold, but yeah, yeah. Do you have any exciting Thanksgiving plans other than some knitting and some eating?
Well, there was some talk of us hosting, but then we're actually going to go to Iowa. So
Mm,
we'll be down in Iowa for the weekend, the day. I'm not sure for how long, but definitely for Thanksgiving, the
mhm.
celebration. And yeah, it'll be nice. We have some of our senior portraits, the prints and stuff, so we'll be able to talk through those and hand them out. That'll be fun.
Yeah.
And yeah, just yeah, food and knitting and
Yeah,
family and
I mean, again, I things kind of shut down in my previous job over the holidays as well.
mhm.
But it seems like, yeah, everybody's going to take a pause next week. And then I'll be traveling the following week for some like 2024 planning. So right back into it. But yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to some downtime with the fam, whether that's down in Iowa or just kind of hanging out in Rochester, but having some, yeah, just some quiet time, right? Which is Jeremy and I were actually just talking about that. Like he was like, I'm not seeing as many like Black Friday, like did COVID kind of, kill that off? And I was like, I don't know, but I think there was also some like Christmas is infringing on my Thanksgiving sentiments around that time as well. Kind of going on at the same time, people pushing back on like some of the sales were creeping into the Thanksgiving day. And yeah, we've never been much into that, but it did seem like it was starting to kind of creep.
Well,
So
I mean, if my inbox is any indication, they're still going strong.
maybe he
Um,
was just commenting that it wasn't something that he was interested in. That I don't know. Yeah, I feel
okay.
like lots of sales all the time. Yeah, but and a couple of them have got me, but we'll talk about those later. We'll talk about those
Yeah.
later.
Yeah.
Um, but
So
yeah,
yeah, a lot of things going on with the retreat. We have the market settled. Maybe one more ad here shortly, but yeah, it's just contracts being finalized and a delay there, but mostly finalized out there on the website and also in Discord. And so we can do our planning for the KAL, et cetera, et cetera. And there are still spots available if people want to join us in June of next year. Um, that registration is out on the Zombie Apocalypse, but right now you just have to scroll a little bit longer because the market will be first, and then you'll see the registration.
I can I
And
can
then,
add a link as well. So it's like,
okay,
yeah, like sign up. Um, and yeah, we can take that down run out of spots. But yeah,
Okay.
yeah, no, definitely. And we've had some folks. So again, welcome if you're joining us or have recently made plans to join us. We are kicking off a Basque Relish KAL. So the official start date Amy set was Friday.
Mhm.
And our cast on party is on Saturday. I'm super excited about that. I think Amy and I have both picked out yarn, and we've been trying to do some convincing in our chats with some people that are like, I'm sweater knitters, or I'll knit a blanket, or like a oblong like a long blanket, but I won't knit like a triangle shawl. And I'm like, a triangle shawl could be a blanket as well. Like we're trying to do, we're trying to convince Beth that she should
Oh,
join us.
yeah.
And yeah, everybody is welcome, right? Like that is retreat attendees, that is folks that are doing that are, following our Stockinette Zombies folks, ZKN folks that maybe can't join us next year for whatever reason. And then again, it aligns with one of our craft your own book ventures with the lines of the brioche in it. So definitely, again, a lot of different ways to engage. We will have some really great prizes to show off here shortly. Amy and I are scheming.
Yes, yes. And part of that scheming is kind of retreat geared, right? Because I'm going to have the prizes based around a soon to be released Sam uh, Garin pattern. And then along with that, we know that it is for minis or what is it, hand spun as the
Mhm.
contrast, and then a single skein of the main color. So we'll probably be incorporating um, her pattern, but as well as our vendors in the prizes. So if you're excited to be joining us in June, those prizes will make good KEL fodder in the
Yes, yeah,
new
yeah.
year. And
Extra points, extra points. Yeah.
but if not, it'll kind of give you a taste of the retreat. You'll get kind of a
Mhm.
retreat package at home, and you can kind of know that it came from the vendors that are going to be at the retreat as well as the keynote speaker. And that can be kind of your own little, um, I don't know, cozy uh, joining us sort of way.
Mhm.
Yeah. So I'm excited to get those purchased uh, and I don't know, maybe I'll save us some shipping and we'll just get photos taken and have them shipped direct uh, from the vendor.
Yeah. I like it. I like it indeed. All right. Do we have tips and tricks?
So I don't really have any tips and tricks, but in the lead up to the KL, I was looking through my stash for some Basque yarn, and I got these. These are retreat colorways from 2023, and I have this here is a little darker than this one here.
Mhm.
So my plan is to start with one of them, and then in the switches, so from non-brioche to brioche, I will go to the lighter or darker, and kind of have that be the breaking point. Because I was reading over the pattern, and it seems like with that applied edging or I-cord edging that's done there, I don't know that I would really like to alternate that much. It could mess with because if you do every other, then one side is one color and the
Mhm.
other side's another color, because you're skipping. So I was just keeping all of that in mind and decided to kind of alternate based on the brioche or the texture in the pattern. So, but yeah,
Really
that's
pretty. Yeah,
and
yeah.
one of them was before the retreat and one of them was during the retreat. So that's why they're so different.
Yep, yep. Yeah, I think last week I showed off mine. So I'm using a sock blank. Again, tip or trick on the sock blank. Obviously, it's not going to knit up exactly like it is here because you're not going to have the same number of stitches across, right? But it does give you a general idea of what it's going to do, right? Like what the fabric of the and the colors look like a little bit. So, I really appreciate that of it. Also, just like a heads up on sock blanks, some people really struggle with like the yarn does come off kind of already kinked, right? Like it's got a crimp to it because it's been, if you've ever frogged anything or ripped it out that's been in that object for a while, that tends to happen, right? But it's got a little bit of energy already kind of stored up in there. And I think it bothered me when I first started working with sock blanks, but now I've worked with enough textures and enough whatever, like it doesn't bother me as much. I do feel like it may affect your gauge a little bit, right? Like because the yarn is kind of already has a little bit of structure to it. So just be aware if you're doing a sock blank again. I think it's really fun to see it unraveling and becoming its own new thing. And then the other tip or trick that I have with it is I did a lot of photography of the colors that I thought maybe I would combine with it, right? So right now my yarning room table is just bonkers. Like I've done enough of like, oh, I'll cake up that yarn because it might end up being a muscle burra. uh so a lot of these were like, this one is from Diane's Fade Club. This
Mhm.
one is like leftover from my sweater. My Rhinebeck sweater, Lightning Bug from Leading Men Fiber Arts. And this was like a color that I got that I was possibly going to put into my snow pine from Leading Men Fiber Arts. But like, yeah, you can take pictures of it all together, kind of do some of the contrast things to see whether or not there's going to be contrast, but then also like crowdsource, right? So
Yeah.
I sent text messages to people like, which ones do you like? And I got some like, oh, it'd be really great. These two would be great together. I'm like, no, 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 no. This is the one that's for sure. And I
Oh
was
no, no,
trying
no.
to pick yeah,
Yeah, I like the one, the darker one.
with the blank. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's kind of a subtle tonal
Hmm.
um,
Hmm.
play, and I think that that will ultimately make the garment more wearable, like the shawl more
Yeah.
wearable. But
Yeah. So I decided on the pink.
okay,
Obviously didn't consult you and your color muse,
see, that's
but
me, and maybe
yeah,
somebody wants to, pow, look at me, I'm all excited, So
that could be it as well. I so for the railroad pullover that I've been making, I did do a yarn experiment,
Mhm.
which is my way of rebranding swatching, and I'm okay with yarn experiments. So before I cast on Saturday at the cast on party, I may do some yarn experiments with like
Mhm.
what these look like with it in the brioche, because
Mhm.
that's the part where I know that it'll look really pretty in the garter. But like you're saying, like this would be very drastic. And
Mhm.
this would be more kind of like tone on tone, but still have a lot of contrast.
Mhm.
And so, yeah, I might do a yarn experiment and not a swatch, mind you, yarn experiment, and make that decision, or maybe just do it at the cast on party, right? Like we've got
Yeah.
some time. So the official KAL, if you aren't just like bringing it into the ZKKAL to be part of prizes at the end of the year, right? So
Yes.
you've got the remainder of November and December, and but if you're a ZKKALer, it'll apply for that KAL as well, into the new year. So yeah, I've got some time. No rush. I can do a yarn
Mhm.
experiment. Play
Yeah.
around with my two color brioche idea on a shawl that was not made to be two colors. Um, and then yeah, the only other did you have any other tip and trick with the relish and basque?
No, I think that I'm hoping that the changes between garter and brioche will keep me going because a shawl that's two skeins is, kind of a longer project. I get tired
Hmm.
of it. But I think the alternating between those will drive me forward.
Cool, cool. Well, yeah, the only other tip or trick I have is that I had last night I bound off
Oh my
the
goodness.
body of my railroad. Um, Knitting from side to side is like a whole, like, I don't know, like I'm just calibrated for like a top down, right? You've separated for sleeves. There's like these milestones. Like obviously there's milestones here, like you do you do the neck.
Hmm.
But like, oh man, it just felt like a slog. I don't know why. It was just like I did add quite a bit of length and it does look like deceptively very long here. So I made it not as like kind of shortened the body because I'm planning on blocking it a lot lengthwise or widthwise, and I feel
Hmm.
like I'm going to lose a lot of that length. I did add additional length, thinking that I have a very long torso.
Hmm.
So my tip or trick on this is that if you do make the main body of something where it's a part of it is the sleeve, I would really recommend, and I'm going to do it, is, and Lynn did it with hers as well, is blocking it so that you know what it's going to end up, where it's going to end up hitting you on the arm, because part of the body is the arm, right? It extends out into the arm. So if you add sleeves onto it, thinking that, okay, maybe it will block to a certain width or it won't block to a certain width, you could end up with significantly shorter or longer sleeves than you're really expecting. So like a pre-block to kind of
Hmm.
know where your sleeve is going to start and how long it needs to be is good idea. TM
Right.
trademark. Good idea that you do that. So doing all these things that I don't normally do, pre-blocking the body before I work on the sleeves on this, as well as the yarn experiment, swatching. But again, when the construction isn't just like you can adjust on the fly, you can't add length after you're
Hmm.
done if your body is knit up and down. So yeah, I think those are my tips and tricks and really enjoying it. I'm hoping to seam this up in a way that I can also have it the other
Hmm.
side, which is really fun. You see those color changes in the feeder brook a lot more clearly on this side. Yeah.
Looks more
Yep.
plaid when you did that. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Again, it was a lot of fun. Other tip or trick, it tells you to work on in this next section, it tells you to work on the front piece, and then it tells you to work on the back piece. I did them in line, kind of like working on two socks at the same time, right? Like I left it on the needle, and then when I got to the neck hole, I dropped the one yarn, and then I started the yarn so you just have to make sure that you don't cross the streams a la Ghostbusters, right? But then I knew that the front and back were exactly the same, length before I joined them in together because they were worked simultaneously. I feel like maybe that was part of my slog as well. Like it probably would have felt like I was making a lot more progress if I had just worked on the front and then worked on the back, because I would have had half or roughly half the stitches. Um, but yeah, that was my like, I'm not going to spend inordinate amount of time measuring to make sure that I've got the same number of like garter ridges on the front as I
Oh, yeah,
do
yeah.
on the back, because I worked them simultaneously. So and then it was all just on the needle. There was no like accidentally joining it
Mhm.
with things twisted and whatever. So yeah, again, some tips and tricks specific to this, but also I feel like it would apply if you were making another like side to side. I've
If
got one
you
of those
haven't,
designs.
if you haven't seen it, there's a new Ghostbusters trailer.
Yeah, Jeremy was asking me if I had seen
So
that.
much fun. Yeah.
Yeah, yep, yep. But yeah, that's what I got, other than haven't made my sleeves on my life color work yet because I set it aside for this, and am woefully behind on male muscle burras.
Yeah, one of my previous tips and tricks was that I was tracking my yarn in a spreadsheet and I had like I could only buy when I got into the green. I did recently get into the green, but I'm only
Yay!
allowed to buy a third of a skein of yarn. So I do need to get a buffer ahead so that I can at least buy one skein of yarn.
Yeah. Yeah,
But
it's
that,
definitely an exciting time. Excited. We've got two self-striping Advents, right? So
Mhm.
excited about Advent season being upon us. Sending all kinds of love to all the dyers that are frantically trying to get yeah, tons of Advents out. 20, Amy and I know from doing not only ZK goodie bag assembly but also like when we did our birthday kits,
birthday.
right? Like
Yeah.
anything that has that many moving parts, this in this case 25 separate
Mhm.
little mini things is just a lot to tick and tie and make sure that you've got in addition to the number of customers that have ordered it, right? It's a lot. So heart goes out to you. I know everybody really enjoys them. And
Yeah, I mean we did the ZK at home. I think that's the last time I had to do like major amounts of assembly. And that was yeah, I'm done. That's enough.
but yes, love them, appreciate them. Glad that I'm not assembling and distributing them and dealing with the post office and whatever. So yeah.
Yeah. And I might start my friends one over Thanksgiving because I'm just itching to get started. So
Yeah, and Friends has some really great Thanksgiving episodes that you could that you could watch.
watch
Heck, there
while I'm
could
doing,
even
yeah,
be a quote in there.
right? Yes,
As
absolutely.
was it yeah, the where Joey's wearing the maternity pants, right? And Brad Pitt comes and visits for a couple of them. The trifle that Rachel accidentally puts like shepherd's pie ingredients in the middle of a dessert. Some good episodes there. Some good episodes there. I'm going to end on wishing Alicia a happy birthday. So enjoy your day.
Yeah, bye.
Bye, Ufta. Alrighty.